Hi y'all, it's Michaela here. For today's episode, I am literally in paradise, like living the island gal life, like Salawati, like Slayawati, like in like Raja Ampat or something, like Indonesia. Like it's literally one of the best spots to dive, like in the world.
Raja Ampat is an archipelago of small islands located in Indonesia's Coral Triangle. The area has overlap in both the Pacific and Indian Oceans, and it's the most species-rich area of any ocean in the world. Raja Ampat is known for both its extreme beauty as well as lucrative fishing opportunities. However, entrepreneurs over time have taken advantage of this delicate environment, and increased commercialism has threatened this ecological imbalance. The last couple of years, the tourism industry in Raja Ampat has been growing significantly, from less than 1,000 yearly tourists in 2007 to over 33,000 tourists right now. There's already more yearly visitors than people living in the archipelago. The infrastructure is not made to handle that many people. The overtourism leads to increased boat traffic, anchor damage, diver damage, coastal development, and increased runoff. Besides that, wastewater can often flow freely into the ocean. The sewage disposal leads to higher levels of nitrogen, which will lead to a higher level of cyanobacteria and a disturbance of the ecosystem.
Like I thought it'd be like a Blue Lagoon, like Malibu Barbie kind of vibe, but like it is so like busy over here. Like what is going on? Like are they here for me?
As Michaela shows you around Rajampa, we as an NGO, SEO, non-government organization, Slayawati conservation organizations, will provide some insights in the protection of this beautiful Rajampa. Our NGO, which is based in Salawati, is dedicated to the conservation and education of Raja Ampat and the Coral Triangle. As the management authority of SEO, our mission is to protect and sustain the marine ecosystem by mitigating the impacts of tourism, reshaping the social perception of sustainability, and reducing environmental harm.
Yes, Hazanpat is a very beautiful place and has around 75% of world-known coral species. Besides being pretty, the coral reefs in Hazanpat form the foundation necessary to support 1,500 fish species and other marine animals. One of the reasons Hazanpat is a hot spot for marine biodiversity is a strong ocean currents that bring in nutrient-rich waters. But the coral reefs aren't the only component of the local ecosystem. There's also mangrove forests, seagrass beds, and tropical forests. All of them are closely linked and affect each other. Mangroves and seagrass beds function as nurseries for many fish species that later move to the coral reefs. Furthermore, the tropical and mangrove forests capture sediment, excess nutrients, and pollutants before they reach the reefs, therefore keeping water clarity high, which is very important for coral photosynthesis. Also, mangroves and coral reefs both act like buffers between land and sea, since they protect coastal lines from waves energy, for example. And lastly, mangroves, seagrass beds, and tropical forests act as carbon stores.
Oh my god, it's like so pretty. Like does it really matter if I touch it or
Oh, it matters enormously. By touching the reef, you endanger its health. The reef is a living system. Its health dictates its entire functioning capacity. In a healthy state, coral reefs exhibit high biodiversity, balanced trophic interactions, and efficient nutrient cycle. They function as a biogenic wave barriers, minimizing coastal erosions, while simultaneously sustaining fisheries and sustainable dive tourism.
and like if the reef becomes unhealthy, like
Oh, if the reef becomes unhealthy, that's called pathological stressors. So like coral bleaching and overfishing, they reduce the species richness. That loss of biodiversity erodes ecological resilience, destabilizes nutrient fluxes, and habitat growth. As ecosystem services decline, fewer tourist visits, local economies collapse, and conservation funding disappears. In essence, compromised health leads to systemic dysfunctioning ecologically and socioeconomically.
Okay, so like basically like reef health is like the premise for like all its functions, right?
Exactly. Without systemic health, the reef cannot sustain itself, nor the people who depend on it.
Okay. Something like seriously fishy going on here, guys. Like, what are we doing to like help? Like, why is no one like fixing these issues?
Hi, if I may. I can understand how it feels like no one's doing anything to, save the coral systems, but nothing could be further from the truth. There's actually a lot of organizations working on the conservation of the Raja Ampat area, such as the Bear Conservation and the Raja Ampat Conservation and Research Center. These organizations mainly focus on sustaining the ecosystem there through applying their research in active intervention methods.
But what about like the laws though? Like, I'm sure if they made like straight up laws, like people would listen to that.
That's a very good point. However, it's very important to keep in mind that these organizations mainly consist of researchers and volunteers and locals, which means that they don't really have the direct power to make systemic change through something like policy making, which is what we call passive conservation. For these things, we have to look at which regional and governmental organizations are controlling the area, and see how we can impact them. So, for example, conservation organizations and NGOs, such as our own, we can partner with these governmental organizations in order to assist with funding, monitoring, or research, or even co-manage these reef systems in order to keep the reef safe and healthy.
Okay, so like update. Guys, like I actually learned like a lot. And apparently it's not just like evil fishermen destroying everything. There's this thing called like direct and like indirect drivers. It's like crazy. You're doing great, go on. Okay. So like direct drivers are like the obvious ones. Stuff like immediately like messes with the reef. Like overfishing, like tourism, like especially like destructive ones, like deforestation, like basically like just like people being people, That's right. Yeah, okay. But like then there's these things called like indirect drivers though, and that's like the sneaky ones. So it's like population growth, like economic development, like people like just not knowing any better because like low education or just like general lack of awareness. Like those will destroy corals right away, but eventually they make like direct stuff like way worse.
Exactly. Indirect drivers create the conditions that allow direct drivers to happen. It's like setting up a domino chain. First few don't look normal, but once they fall, everything all just falls behind.
Protecting the reef isn't just about stopping like one thing. It's about like changing how we live and learn and literally think. Like if people actually knew what was going on, like maybe they'd stop like treating the ocean like a literal like trash can.
That's the spirit. It's so good that you learned so much already. We at CSO believe in using knowledge as our primary leverage point. Oh, and just for your understanding, leverage points are places in complex systems where a small shift or an intervention may lead to a fundamental change in a system as a whole. So, educating people is an investment. We want people to rethink their values and practices to broaden their perspective. It's a deep leverage point and not an easy thing to go to reach, but knowledge about the ecosystem will hopefully transform people's thoughts and actions. In the end, it is up to us as a community to prioritize the health of Raja Ampat's ecosystems, and the education of the collective is the key in facilitating that goal. In short, education and awareness are as important as regulation is. Change starts when people understand why their actions matter.
Oh my god, like thank you for like all the information.
Of course, anytime.
Yes. Wow guys, I have learned like so much, like my brain hurts. So like reefs are basically like alive, like not just pretty rocks, but like actual living communities. Like when they're healthy, it's like super harmonious and like everything is balanced. Like even the ocean waves are like chill because like the reef is literally like blocking them. Plus like people get jobs from like fishing and like tourists come to snorkel and like take pics and stuff. Like it's super awesome. But like if the reef gets like stressed or whatever, like from overfishing or bleaching, like everything gets like totally screwed over. Like the fish stop coming, like the whole system just gets like messed up. Like it's so awful. And tourists, obviously they're like, ew, like no, I'm not gonna go there. And then like local businesses like can't even like survive. So the moral of the story is like basically, so if the reef isn't like thriving, like literally nobody is like thriving, right? Like sustain these reefs. Like reefs are literally like ultimate like influencers of the ocean basically. Okay guys, like that's gonna be it for today. Thank you so much for watching. Remember to like and sustain and subscribe. I will see you later. Bye.